Okay. Happy Tuesday. For those of you who do have blocks, you can have blocks to the side. We're going to start on our backs this morning, so you can go ahead and lay on down. Take my sweatshirt off because it's quite humid in my house. When you lay down, either come to active rest or sort of full Shavasana mode. If you're tired, like if you just woke up, I don't suggest going into full Shavasana. I do suggest going into even active rest can be quite relaxing, but go into a place where you have a little bit more body awareness, or you don't go right into sleep. And for those of you in active rest, inner knees are touching, feet are walked out wide, until you feel like the musculature of the legs is soft. And then regardless of the positioning of your legs, nudge your left shoulder to the left and your right shoulder to the right so that you land just a little bit wider, a little bit broader on the yoga mat. And then feel how the whole of the back can land down. There might be a little bit of the low back that lifts up and away, and that's okay. Don't try to change the natural curvature of your spine here. Just let yourself rest. Allow the eyes to close if they haven't already. And for just a few moments here, see if you can locate yourself in the room and your environment by noticing sensations, specifically sound and spatial orientation. And sound can definitely be the sound of my voice, but see if you can get more specific to what is in your room right now. Your place on this earth, in the building that you're in the region that you're in. Noticing now the position of you in your environment. And not just the fact that you're laying on the floor, but you're laying on the floor and the floor is connected to the earth. And that you're soft, not resisting. And from here, start to breathe deeper and wider than the last breath you took. And if you want to count the breath, you can count the breath. But just let the breath be controlled, continuous, and intentional. And as the breath gets longer and more intentional, start to reach the arms up and overhead. Keep the legs as they are. Hook onto opposite thumbs. And as you hook onto opposite thumbs, let that joining of the thumbs be the sort of the thing that keeps the hands together as you imagine that you could widen the hands out and widen the upper arm bones out. And then just as much as you're widening the hands, reach from hips to fingertips. I'm going to edge away from my wall because I'm hitting that. So right here, you're feeling lots of length in the torso, the side waist, the front, the back of the body. And then release the arms, allow them to come back in their T or their low V, nice and broad, soft. Now from here, if the legs are in active rest, you'll lengthen the legs out and forward away from you. And let them go a little bit wider than hips width distance apart, so edge them out wide. And then flex into the feet, flex into the heels, and imagine from the hip points to the center of the heels, you've got long lines of energy shooting out the bottoms of the feet. Now reach the arms up and overhead. Go for wide, like a YMCA. Imagine if you were standing, you'd be in a starfish. And now from right heel to left hand, imagine you could get longer. Keep that as you go left heel, right hand, get longer. And there's this expansiveness, right, outward from the navel. So that from top to bottom we're long, from front to back we're long, from left to right we're long. And in the center we're expansive. Release all sort of stretching, lengthening away from each other, but keep the arms, the legs where they are. Slowly step one foot and then the next on the earth. Draw the knees into the chest, give them a squeeze. You can rock side to side right away, roll them around in circles if that feels nice to you. And then keep one hand on one kneecap, one hand on the other, and just let the knees fall away from you until the arms come to their sort of natural length. And you're just, it's, you know, the legs are super soft, like you're doing almost no work in the legs. And close your eyes and bring your awareness to the back of the pelvis, specifically down to the butt bones, right? So each bony protuberance that sort of comes out of the seat, you've got your left butt bone, you're gonna draw a line to your right hip bone, that's the front of your pelvis. So it's a diagonal line through the pelvis. A lot of you are familiar with this, so I might go a little quicker than usual. Right butt bone, so right sits bone to left hip bone, you're gonna draw a line. So rather than feeling like there's just a front and the back of the pelvis, there's volume and dimension to the pelvis. Left sits bone, right hip bone, draw a line. Right sits bone, left hip bone, draw a line. Tons of volume, space. And imagine that when you breathe, you could breathe not just space into the rib cage, but space into the pelvis. Good. From here, take hands behind the knees. Flex into the feet, and now press the feet away from you. The knees stay in somewhat of a 90-degree, and then curl the head, neck, and chest up. Kick into the feet even more, and it's a really slow roll up to a seat, feet on the floor. Good. Widen your feet out. Bring the hands behind you, tent on the fingertips. I prefer to externally rotate the arm bones first, so bring the thumbs out to each side of the room. And walk the feet, if you're sitting sort of in the center of your mat, walk the feet out as wide as the width of your mat, or just imagine that your knees are going up to 10 and 2 on a clock, right? The pubic bone forward would be 12. And flex into the feet as if you were standing now, and just start to rock the knees side to side. And as you rock the knees side to side, don't feel like you have to keep the pelvis stable. You can come up and onto one side. I did this with straight legs last week, but it's a similar idea, right? We've got internal rotation of one leg, external rotation of the other. So when you rock over to the right, let's all go there so it makes sense. So everyone rock over to the right, so you're sitting up on your right hip. The left leg is internally rotated, the right leg is externally rotated. Now come back through center, go over to the left. And if you've got to like look at your legs and sort of cement that in, great. Right leg internally rotated, left leg externally rotated. So go to each side once more. You can come to sit up a little bit more. See if you can involve the imagination of the volume of the pelvis here. Good. And as you rock side to side, really start to get a little bit more sort of involved with sitting up on that hip and then reach the opposite arm up. So the back arm is still supporting. Nice. So your right arm, Gary, that would go up. Yeah, if you knock your knees to the left. Yep, you got it. Yep. There you go. And then come down to the other side. And you come to sit up on that hip, the left arm comes up. And as the left arm comes up, imagine that the volume of the pelvis is this sort of cylinder, a barber's pole, and you can look around and maybe even look up to the top corner of your mat. Good. And then drop the left hand down, rock the knees over to the right. So you rock the knees over to the right, the hand on the floor, the left hand gives you tons of space as you turn around the barber pole dimension of the pelvis, and you can look up to the backhand corner of your mat. Good. Bring the right hand down, knock the knees back through center, left arm up, and it's rotate, rotate, rotate so you can see more. Nice. And left arm down. Last time like this. If you find that you're sort of like crawling forward off your mat, that's fine. That happens to me too. Left side waist long, right side waist long, looking up and back to the top of your mat. Good. This time right hands down, knees come over to the right. You're going to walk your hand out off your mat. You're going to press into your right knee, and you're going to come up to this sort of variation of a Vashisthasana, so a side plank. And then you're going to slowly lower down. You're going to bring your hands back. You're going to bring your knees back to 90 degrees. The left hand moves out off your mat as you press into the legs. The back leg can straighten if it feels natural. If it doesn't, that's okay. So just notice the positioning of the knees, right? Come down, bend the knees. Right hand comes off the mat, roll over to the other side. And this is a little bit different than we normally do Vashisthasana. It's not as measured. Come down, left hand down, last side. Left knee, left hand, reach, reach, reach. Good. Slowly come through center. Bring the hands behind you. Bring the legs up, cross the ankles, come up and over into tabletop. When you come into tabletop, start to move through cat and cow in a way that feels nice for you today. Close the eyes. Imagine the dimensions of the pelvis, the torso. If you need to sort of roll ribs, that's ribs and hips together. Just roll your ribs around. It's gonna be one of those days. Luckily, I know everyone who's in class, and I know everyone who's gonna get the recording, and most of you guys know my ways with language. And then as you roll around and move around, close the eyes, right? Shut down sort of the visual stimulus. And really start to locate yourself in space again and get really specific. So before we were external, right? Where we are in the room, where we are on the earth. Now let's get internal, where we are in relation to ourselves spatially. The volume or lack of volume we have in pelvis, torso, rib cage. And it could be as simple as, where's my thumb right now? Where's my pinky toe of my left foot? So it doesn't have to be this sort of esoteric dialogue. It can be really specific and physical. About 3 more breaths doing as you wish. Nice. And then very slowly come back through center, right? Don't just drop yourself into neutral. Walk the hands a little bit farther forward, tuck your toes, lift the hips up and back. A bent knee, downward facing dog is where we'll meet. When you land in your bent knee, downward facing dog, if you want to come high on the tippy toes, drop the heels, wiggle the hips, you may do so. And then as you work with the foundation, with the legs, start to look up towards the hands and paw the hands out. And I've referenced this a couple times, but I'm going to get really specific about it now. Look up at your hands and look to your right hand and press down into the index finger, specifically the knuckle point. And imagine from the index finger knuckle point to the outer heel of the hand, you could draw a long line and they could get longer and more distant away from each other. And then from the pinky finger to the thumb knuckle, tons of space, right? Stretch them away from each other. More surface area now in the right hand. Look to the left hand. Left index finger, specifically the knuckle point, presses down. From that place out to the outer edge of the heel of the hand stretch. And then thumb to pinky stretches. So we have tons of space with the hands. Bend the knees, lift the hips up a little bit higher. As you bend the knees, let the heels drop. All right, a lot of us bend the knees by picking our heels up. Let the heels drop, but the bend of the knees stays the same. Slowly come forward to plank pose. If you've got to walk it out to find your true measure, you do so. Good. From your plank pose, left shoulder, right heel get longer, stretch away from each other. Right shoulder, left heel get away from each other. Tons of volume here. Even map the pelvis. Left sits bone, right hip bone. Right sits bone, left hip bone. And then breathe into all that space you have. This will be the longest plank we hold, promise. Right, bend the knees, come up and back, downward facing dog. From here, walk your feet over to the right-hand side of your mat. And take your right foot and step it in front of your left and cross your legs in your downward facing dog. And again, you're bending the knees, but now bend the back knee, the left knee into the right. Come high onto the balls of the feet and then drop the heels without losing the bend of the knees. And then from here, come forward, plank pose. Now in this plank, it's going to get a little bit more sort of dynamic, right? Because our legs are crossed. Keep the balls of the feet on the earth. Heels and heart opposite direction. Map the pelvis again. Left sits bone, right hip bone, stretch away from each other. Right sits bone, left hip bone, stretch away from each other. Nice. Bend the knees, slowly walk the hands back towards the back of the mat. When you walk the hands towards the back of the mat, step the right foot up just a touch so that the feet are staggered so you can bend into the knees and drape and fold all the way down. When you drape and fold, imagine that the right hip could lift up just a bit higher. Imagine that you could stretch the feet out so that you could land more surface area down, just the same way that we did with the hands. And then imagine, right, it's all imagination, right? It's just an imagination game. Tailbone to crown of the head could get longer and more slack, like a towel after a shower. Good. From here, walk the hands out on the fingertips. Come high onto the balls of the feet. Start to walk your fingertips up and over to the right. And then pause. Right? And by pause, I mean your body's probably going to stop you. Bend into the knees, lift the hips up and back. And imagine that you could steer the right hip back towards the back of the room so you can walk your fingertips up and over more to the right. Good. And then walk the fingertips over to the left. And then notice how the feet start to turn. You turn back towards the back of your mat. And then you start to turn until you come back. And now it's the left leg in front. Good. Once the left leg is in front, step the left foot down, step the right foot down. Good. Bend the right knee into the back of the left knee. Let yourself fold. Look at the feet. Imagine you could stretch the big toes away from the outer edges of the heels. Inner edges of the heels to the pinky toes. Stretch longer. Tend onto fingertips. Walk the fingertips up and over to the left. Come high onto the balls of the feet. Imagine you could steer the left hip back and space even more. The right hip will come forward towards the top of your mat so you can walk your fingertips up and over. Feel the length from the right hip up to the right shoulder. Good. Walk the hands back to the right. Come high onto the balls of the feet. If you've got a really sticky yoga mat, this gets kind of tough to sort of spin on the balls of the feet. Or if you're practicing on a carpet. And then you'll just walk yourself to the right, knees in the front. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. There you go. On fingertips, bend into the knees, still on the balls of the feet. Good. And then broaden the collarbones. And imagine from pubic bone to sternum, from bending the knees to looking forward. It's not a lifting of the back of the neck, but it's a gentle arc of the spine. Walk the fingertips up and over to the left. Come all the way back. And now it's the left leg in front. Once the left knee is in front, walk the hands forward. Cross-legged downward facing dog. Bend the back knee into the front. Shift forward, cross-legged table or plank pose. In cross-legged plank pose, heels and heart opposite directions. Find volume in the pelvis. So now it's left hip point, right sits bone. Stretch away from each other. Good. Right hip point, left hip bone. Yep. Stretch away from each other. Good. Heels and heart opposite directions. Bend knees, come up and back. Downward facing dog. From here, your right leg, it's your back leg. Pick it up. From here, imagine you could internally rotate the right leg. So flex into the foot. The toes come in towards you like you're pigeon-toed. Drive the right knee through a knee to nose crunch. Step it forward in the middle of your yoga mat. Good. Use your hand on your right thigh. Press into the right thigh and pick your torso up so that you can center the knee on the sternum. Yeah, this old thing. Good. Land the back knee down. Press down into the top of the back foot. Walk the hands out a little bit wider to 10 and 2. And then bend into the front knee to lift the gaze up. Good. Now from here, tuck under the back toes and find length in your lunge. From right knee to left heel, imagine you could get longer. So right knee, left heel, get longer. Good. Now from here, creep your left hand out to the left a little bit more. Slowly sweep your right arm up and out. And imagine that you could keep your legs exactly the same. Internally rotate the thigh bones, lift the pelvis up, and then from pubic bone to sternum, arc up and off your yoga mat. So imagine you're a sphere. You're not a line. You're not stuck on the island of your yoga mat, but you're a sphere. Pubic bone to sternum lengthens up and away from the legs that are linear on your yoga mat. Good. Flip the palm up and over. Reach the right arm alongside the right ear. Bring the right hand to come next to the left. So now we're coming off the mat with the hands. Notice how much your pelvis is coming offline. Now draw the left hip forward, right hip back. Imagine you could internally rotate the thigh bones and then pubic bone to sternum lifts. Walk the hands down the left-hand side of your mat. Turn the toes to the left. Walk the hands over towards the left leg. Bend into the left knee. As you bend into the left knee, lift the gaze up and over towards the back corner of your room. And then walk your hands back through center. Turn the toes back and forward. From here, plant the hands. Step the right leg in front of the left, cross-legged downward facing dog. So right knee is the knee that you see. The back knee is the left. It bends in. So it meets the back of the right knee. Press down into the hands. Lift the left leg up towards the sky. As you lift the left leg up towards the sky, flex into the heel. And if you've got to look at the toes, look at the toes and turn them in, right? Imagine you could pigeon toe the feet. Draw the left knee through a knee to nose crunch. Step it forward into the center of the mat. When you step it forward into the center of the mat, bring the left hands to the left thigh, pick the torso up, and imagine that knee and sternum could meet. As you drop the back knee down, press down into the top of the back foot. Good. Bring the hands out into 10 and 2. Press down into the top of the back foot as if you wanted to lift your back leg off. So get really rooted in the back foot. Good. Bend into the left knee. Let it lift the gaze. Hands out at 10 and 2. Tuck under the back toes, nice and wide with the arms. Imagine left hip to right heel could get longer. Left hip, right heel longer. Creep the right hands off the mat even more. You can stay on fingertips. If that bothers you, you can go flat onto the palm or onto a block. Reach the left arm out and wide. And again, the legs are staying linear on the mat as if your whole torso were there with you. Internally rotate the thigh bones and imagine you could pick the pelvis up. As you arc the spine up and off the pelvis, pubic bone to sternum, you're coming off to the right-hand corner of your mat, maybe even off the mat even more. From left knee to right heel, get longer. Internally rotate, lift the pelvis, slowly look down. Left hand comes down to meet the right. The hands are off to the right-hand corner of the mat. Draw your right hip forward towards the top of your mat, left hip back. Another way to say that would be to internally rotate the thigh bones. It picks up the pelvis. Now imagine you're in cow pose with the spine, pubic bone to sternum lengthens. Good. Walk the hands down the right-hand side of your mat, turn the toes. Walk the hands over to the right foot, bend into the right knee. Pubic bone to sternum lifts. Good. Walk the hands back in space, turn the toes towards the top of your mat. This time step forward, regular feet, forward fold. Measure 2 fist width distance apart between the feet. Bend into the knees nice and deeply. As you bend into the knees, maybe the thighs catch the torso. Interlace the hands behind the neck, unless you've got something going on with your cervical spine, in which case you can do as you wish with the hands. Interlace the hands behind the neck, and then let that drape the spine down. Maybe the elbows and shins come close to each other as you bend the knees even more. And then from here, you're gonna slowly roll up. Keep a nice bend of the knees. The hands stay on the back of the head. When you come to stand all the way up, flip the palms up towards the sky. And from here, we're gonna map the pelvis again. Right butt bone to left hip bone. Left butt bone to right hip bone. Now from left shoulder to right heel. Right shoulder, left heel. Now from the webbing of your fingers down to the center of your 2 feet, that's top to bottom. And most of you know this, but I practice from a lineage called Katona Yoga, and there's a practice inside the practice called King of the Mountain where you balance a block on your hands like this for 9 minutes. We're not gonna do that, but imagine that the hands were the crown and you could stand really tall. And you could find all the ways that your body has dimension here. And the dimension comes from diagonals. It comes from the spherical sense of you, the cylindrical sense of you. Take one more inhale here. And exhale, release the hands, bend the knees, drape and fold all the way down. Inhale, hands on shins, lift the heart up and forward towards the front of the room. Bend the knees, plant the hands, step back to plank pose. As you step back to plank pose, find your measure. Left shoulder, right heel. Right shoulder, left heel. Center of the feet to the center of the head. Land the knees down, sink the hips back, child's pose. When you land in child's pose, keep the arms engaged unless you're totally toasted, in which case just rest. And for those of you with the arms engaged, imagine that you could stretch the index finger knuckle point of the right hand away from the outer edge of the palm. And then it's the pinky finger to the right thumb, stretch away. Tons of surface area. Now the left hand, index finger knuckle point to the outer edge of the palm. And the pinky finger to the thumb, stretch away. Good, one more full breath here. Start to press into the knees. Round yourself up. As you round yourself up, come through tabletop. And pubic bone to sternum stretches, come into cow pose. Tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. From here, bend the knees, look forward, step the right foot forward. When you step the right foot forward, step it into sort of a normal stance, so not on one line, not crossing the legs. You have the option to land the back knee down or keep the back knee lifted. As the left hand comes off to the side, you sweep your right arm back in space. And again, we're gonna think about that spherical sense coming off the linear place of the legs, sweeping the body up and off the left-hand side of your mat. Internally rotate the thigh bones, pick the pelvis up, sweep, 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 start to look down. As you look down, the right hand comes off to the right-hand side of the mat, bend into the right knee, step forward, forward fold. From forward fold, use the legs, sweep all the way up, come up, up, up. This is an inhale, exhale, bend the knees, drape and fold all the way down. As you inhale, the right leg steps back. The right hand comes off to the side. The left arm sweeps out, back, and wide. As you sweep all out, back, and wide, you're rotating around that sphere. Left hand comes down. Hands come into center. Step back, downward facing dog. Come forward to plank pose. Find your dimension. You have the option here to drop the knees down, come into cow pose for your back bend, or drop the pelvis, bring the lungs forward, the heels back, upward facing dog on the balls of the feet. Good. Drop the knees down, sink the hips back. I'm not going to call it child's now, I'm going to call it embryo because you're not widening the knees out. The head comes down if possible, maybe the hands come to meet the heels. From here, press down into the tops of the feet. Come to sit on your shins, sweep the arms up. Now we're coming into our salutations. Pubic bone to sternum lifts. This will be an inhale. Exhale, hips and hands reach in opposite directions. All the surface area of the hands lands down. Round yourself up and forward. You have the option to come into tabletop cow or tuck the toes, upward facing dog on the balls of the feet. Bend the knees, lift up and back, downward facing dog. From here, the left foot comes forward. It steps next to the left hand. The hands come out wide. You find all the ways that we measured our lunge before. Internally rotate the thigh bone, sweep the left arm up and back. The right arm is off wide. We come out into the sphere, off the linear portion of the legs, sweep the left arm up and over. Left hand comes to land. Look forward, left knee bends forward, step forward, forward fold. So many forwards. Bend into the knees, sweep the arms up, come to step into the legs, all the way up. This is an inhale. Exhale, bend the knees, drape and fold. Inhale, left leg back now. Left arm off to the left, right arm sweeps out, wide, around, and then look down. Right hand comes down, right leg steps back, downward facing dog. Come forward to plank pose into your back bend of choice. Heels back, heart forward. Land the knees down, sink your hips back. Embryo pose your way. Know that you don't need to do the same back bend for each side of the salutation. Inhale, sweep the arms up, grow out of your seat, pubic bone to sternum lifts. Exhale, hands and hips stretch in opposite directions. Plant all of the hands down as you roll yourself forward into your back bend of choice. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot forward, hands out wide. Find the structure of the legs. Sweep the right arm up, out, around. Find your sphere. Normally salutations are in breath, out breath. Do this, do that, but I like to move a little bit slower today. Step yourself forward, forward fold. Inhale, sweep all the way up. And exhale, fold all the way down. Bring the hands out wide now. Inhale, step the right leg back. Sweep the left arm out wide and high. And if it takes a breath or two to trace this whole sphere, to keep the rotation of the leg bones, to plant the hands and step back, down dog, then that's fine. Let it be an inhale that draws you forward into your upward facing dog or tabletop into cow. And let it be an exhale that sinks you back in space. Into embryo. Let it be an inhale that rises you up. Grow out of your seat, reach the arms. Good. Let it be an exhale that stretches forward. An inhale draws you into your back bend of choice. Now an exhale into downward facing dog. The inhale steps the left foot forward, and then let it be as long and as luxurious as you need it to be to sweep the arms out, keep the internal rotation of the thigh bones, find a big sphere with the arms. Good. Step yourself forward, forward fold when you're done. Let it be an inhale that brings you to stand. And an exhale that folds you down. And inhale, steps the left leg back. Find your sphere, sweeping the right arm up and off. Internally rotate the thigh bones. The pelvis is a bit higher. Sweep, 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 sweep. You'll eventually step your right foot back, downward facing dog. Your next inhale brings you forward into your back bend of choice. And your exhale brings you back to embryo. One more round. Inhale, sweep up, grow out of the seed. Exhale, hands and hips stretch opposite directions. Inhale into the back bend of your choice. Exhale into downward facing dog. The inhale steps the right foot forward. Again, take your time as you widen the hands out and you sweep. So I want this to be really intentional. Nice, mom. Hands come down. You'll step forward when you're ready. The inhale will bring you up. The exhale will bring you down. Inhale, step the right leg back. Sweep, spherical lunge. Left arm up and over. See if you can see more of your room as you go around. Step the left leg back. An inhale brings you forward to your back bend of choice. And an exhale brings you back into your embryo. Last side. Inhale, grow out of the seed. Inhale, bend your choice. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg forward. Hands out wide. Take as much time as you need to find the structure of the legs and come off with the spine, looking around your room. Step yourself forward, forward fold. Your next inhale will sweep you up, come to stand. Your exhale will draw you down. Your inhale, the left leg steps back. Find your structure, find the hands off wide. Sweep the right arm. Spherical U, cylindrical, spacious, dimensional. Hands plant down, step back, down dog. Last time, inhale to bring you forward into your back bend of choice. And then exhale to land the knees down. Sink back into embryo or child's pose. Or sit on the shins. If you sit on the shins, keep the eyes closed. And regardless of where you are, feel for the volume of your pelvis. If you want to map, you map. Feel for the dimensions of your torso. Again, if you want to map it, you map it. Find the diagonals. Find the center. Top, bottom, left, right, front and back. And breathe in a way that is fluid and continuous and spacious. Two more breaths here. And then after your next breath, bring yourself back up to downward facing dog. From down dog, look forward, step your right foot forward. Bring the hands out wide to 10 and 2. Send the right knee forward to lift the gaze. From here, walk the hands up and over to the left and down the left-hand side of your mat, turn the toes. And then if you're in a really wide stance and it feels unstable, you can walk your feet a little bit closer towards each other. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Bend the knees a touch and then lift from pubic bone to sternum forward as if you're in cow pose. And if you've got to look at your feet while you do this, you can look at your feet, but from the big toe to the outer edge of the heel stretch. From the pinky toe to the inner edge of the heel stretch. Do it on the other foot as well. So you've got tons of surface area. Walk the hands to the hips, pull the navel in, come to stand. Good. When you come to stand, if you find you're like, holy crap, this is so wide, just toe heel the foot in. Good. From here, reach your arms up. Hook onto opposite thumbs. And feel from pelvic floor to the hook of the thumbs that you could stretch and get longer. From here, side bend up and over to the left, so you're arcing the right side of the body. From here, release the hands, start to turn the torso towards the left-hand side of your mat. Widen out the arms into a T. And then from here, right hand comes towards left ankle. So right hand towards left ankle. If you want to put a micro bend into the left leg because your IT band is talking to you, go for it. From here, if you haven't bent it, you're going to bend it a little bit and send more weight into the left foot. And then turn the torso up and towards the sky so that maybe you catch your left hand with your eyes. Bring the left arm up and over. And then slowly look down. Release the hands, come back through center, redistribute the weight in the feet. Pubic bone to sternum long, bring the hands to the hips, come to stand. Again, find the surface area of your feet. Reach the arms up, hook onto the thumbs the non-habitual way, so the awkward way. Again, pelvic floor to the webbing of the fingers, to the thumbs. Reach up, stretch the palms away from each other, so it's not just bottom to top, top to bottom, but it's left to right. Start to turn the torso towards the right foot. Widen out the arms into a T. And then start to reach the left hand towards the right ankle. Bend into the right knee ever so slightly. And then using the contact of left hand onto right ankle, imagine that you could turn the torso up towards the sky and you catch the right hand in your eyes. And then reach the right arm up and over. Slowly look down. Right hand comes down to the floor, left hand comes down to the floor, feet come back to normal. Tent onto fingertips, bend into the knees, lift the heart. Good, walk the hands onto the hips, come up. Okay, so from that place, right, from where we just went, we're gonna swing from side to side, but I wanted to get that sort of cemented, this is what the stretch, this is what the twist rather feels like, and we're gonna go from side to side. So I'm gonna bring us through the same sequence, but we're gonna move a little bit more fluidly. So reach the arms up, now we're not gonna hook the thumbs. Start to turn the torso to the left, widen out the arms, right hand comes down to the left ankle. Bend into the left knee. Imagine you could swing a little bit more weight into the left foot as you grow taller with the left hand up towards the sky. Left hand comes up and over towards the right hand side of your room now. Good. And then look down. You're gonna reach over towards the left hand. The left hand to the right ankle is gonna catch. You're gonna send weight into the right foot, bend into the right knee, and then look up towards the sky, towards the right hand. Reach the right arm up and overhead. Start to look down. You're gonna shift weight into the left foot. Right hand comes to left foot. Reach up. Good. Left arm comes up and over. Start to look down, bend into the right knee. Left hand finds right ankle. And imagine you've got this space to twist around the volume of the torso, the pelvis. Right arm up and over. Look down, shift weight into left foot. Left arm comes up. Left arm comes up and over. Look down. Good. Left side. Right arm comes up and overhead. Come down through center. Let yourself fold in a forward fold that feels nice for you. Right, with wide legs, you can bend the knees, you can grab onto heels, you can bring the hands forward, more like a wide-legged downward facing dog. You can reach the arms back behind you.
Find the surface area of the feet as you fold. Excuse me. Good. From here, walk your hands underneath your shoulders. Start to face the top of your mat. Walk, walk, walk the hands. Step back, downward facing dog. Good. From downward facing dog, find the dimension of the pelvis. Find the surface area of the hands. From here, walk the feet over towards the right-hand side of your mat. Step the right foot in front of the left. Find a cross-legged downward facing dog again. From here, look forward towards your hands. Bring your right hand in front of your face. Good. With the right hand in front of your face, find surface area in the palm. Bend into the knees. The same way that we were twisting around the balls of the feet earlier, you're going to twist around the balls of the feet now. You're going to press into the right hand. And the left arm's going to come up towards the sky as the hips drop. And then you find yourself in this sort of half wheel reverse tabletop. And if you're like, I don't understand how you got there, that's okay. You can come down and watch. Left arm reaches. All right, I'm going to come high onto the balls of my feet. I'm going to drop my hips ever so slightly, spin on the balls of my feet. My left hand is going to come down. Walk your left hand into the center of the mat. The right hand's going to come off to the right. The left foot is going to just step in front of the left. Keep the legs as close to each other as possible. And it's like a really slinky, just walk left foot in front of right. So now it's the left knee that you see when you look down towards your legs. Press into the left hand. You're going to spin on the balls of the feet. Right, the hips are going to open up towards the sky. You're going to land your heels down. You're going to press the pelvis up. You're going to imagine that from left shoulder to right knee, you could get longer. Right shoulder to left knee, you could get longer. Good. And then look down. Spin on the balls of the feet. The right hand comes down. Step the right foot in front. Those of you who have done this with me before and done this with other Katonah teachers, if you want to just let it rip and get really kind of like spinny like a top, you can do it. Go for it. If you're like, oh, why would I ever do that? Then you just don't. Right hand comes in front, spin on the balls of the feet. Left arm comes up. Spin on the balls of the feet, look down. Spin yourself back into your cross-legged downward facing dog. Step the left foot in front. Left hand comes in front. And spin again. Good. Keep the hips lifted, Gary. Good. Look down, right hand comes down, right foot comes in front, right hand comes in front. The hips drop, but not too low so that you want to sit down. When the heels land, you lift the pelvis. Look down, left hand comes in front, left side, left foot steps in front. Spin on the balls of the feet. Right, you're that barber pole, you're spherical, nice, cylindrical. Slowly look down. Right hand comes down, left hand comes down, walk them out wide. Step your left foot to the left, right foot to the right. Land the knees down, sink back, child's pose, or sit on the shins. Excuse me. Regardless of where you go, keep the eyes closed so that the visual stimulus is minimum. And again, the awareness, right, the mind is internal. So we're noticing the dimensions, the spaciousness, the diagonals. We're noticing the breath. Drawing it out longer, more fluid, more continuous. From here, slowly make your way into downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, look forward, step the right foot forward. When you step the right foot forward, bring the hands out wide to 10 and 2. Imagine you could internally rotate the thigh bone so the pelvis lifts up. Imagine the right hip could edge back as the left hip edges forward. Lift the gaze, lift the gaze, lift the gaze. And from here, land to the back, heel down. Readjust the pelvis. Cartwheel the hands up, warrior 2. Bring the hands to the pelvis, look down at the legs. Right, recall that pinwheel we had in the beginning of our time together. The right thigh is externally rotating. Left thigh is internally rotating. And then imagine that you could find the pelvic floor dropping down as the crown of the head lifts up. Hook the thumbs over the head. From here, start to turn the torso forward, forward, forward toward the front of the room. Internally rotate the left thigh bone. Internal, internal, internal. Pubic bone to sternum lifts. Press down into the ball of the left foot. Spin the heel up. Spin the heel up, up, up. Now you're going to turn the torso. Keep going towards the right-hand side of your room. Right-hand side of your room. Stretch forward. And as you stretch forward, you're stretching on a diagonal towards the right-hand corner of your mat. Right-hand corner, right-hand corner, right-hand corner. Left hand comes down on the outside edge of the left foot. Right hand comes down with it. Good. And if you're kind of like, oh, my legs hurt, you're going to drop your back knee down. But we're going to start to edge the left knee towards the right armpit. The left knee towards right, I said that backwards. Right knee towards left armpit. Sorry. Send the knee forward, and it comes close. If it doesn't totally lock in, that's fine. That's not how it lands for me either. And then imagine you could internally rotate the thigh bones here. Now, make a fist with the left hand. And bring your right hand to your waist for just a moment. And imagine that you could turn the torso towards the right. Yeah, and if it feels like a lot, you can drop the back knee down and really get grounded in the legs. Yeah, bring the hands over towards the right-hand corner of your mat. Good. And then right hand comes on top of the left fist. Now, notice what happens here, right? There's a tendency either to crash down into the right hand, right? Or a punch up towards the sky. Let there be a reciprocal relationship so that from pubic bone to sternum, you grow taller and longer. Send the right knee forward. It should feel quite icky. But we're all there together. Imagine you can internally rotate the thigh bones here. Boop. There you go. Okay, from here, look down, slowly release. Drop the back knee down or not. We're gonna shift into side plank on the left side. So it's the right leg that shifts back. You're either on a knee or not. But the right leg shifts back. Good. You're on the left hand. Regardless of where you are, feel the space across the front of the pelvis. Good. Look down and forward towards the top of your mat. Bend into the right knee. Step it forward towards the top of your mat. Step forward, forward, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. And exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale up half the way. And exhale, step yourself back to downward facing dog. If you'd like to move through a vinyasa, you move through. Don't lose any of the work that we've had this whole class. Keep the dimension of your body. Nice. Okay. From here, step your left foot forward. Hands out nice and wide. So we'll build the structure of our lunge. Send the left knee forward. Internally rotate the thigh bones. Pubic bone to sternum lifts. Then land the back knee down. Back heel, rather. Find the surface area of that foot. Send the knee forward. Come up, warrior 2. If you want to adjust your feet, go for it. Adjust your feet. Bring your hands onto your hips. Look down at the legs. Externally rotate left thigh. Internally rotate right thigh. Pelvic floor down, crown of the head up.
Reach the arms up, hook the thumbs. When you hook the thumbs, it's pelvic floor to the webbing of the thumbs. That grows you taller. Start to turn the torso towards the top of your mat. Imagine you could internally rotate the right thigh bone so much that you come high onto the ball of the foot and you spin on the ball of the foot like we've done so many times. As you spin on the ball of the foot, start to spin the torso even farther over towards the left-hand corner of your room. Send the back heel back so you can send the torso forward and still feel centered. Reach, 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 reach until the hands come down to the floor. You know, I didn't say this on the other side and I wish I did, but you can bring hands onto blocks here. I apologize for not saying that. And then again, if the legs feel totally toasted, you can drop the back knee down. Imagine that the left knee goes towards the right armpit. That's the thing I was talking about last side. You can even use your hands to edge it closer if you need to. Send the left knee forward, find contact with the right arm, bring the right fist up. Left arm can come into the left hand can come into the left hip for a moment. Internally rotate the thigh bones. It's not going to physically happen, but imagine it could. Bring the right hand onto the left fist. Be aware of the reciprocal relationship. If the back knee is lifted, feel the back heel moving back in space, even though a lot of the torso is moving forward. Imagine pubic bone to sternum could lift. It feels very congested, but this is about the post-digestive feel of the posture. Imagine you could look over towards the back left-hand corner of your room. Good. Slowly look down. The hands come down. You're either going to step the left foot back into plank pose and come into Vashisthasana that way, or you're just going to send the left leg back. You stand Vashisthasana on the knee, adjust your right hand underneath the right shoulder. Bring the left arm higher over the head, however you wish. Start to look down and forward towards the top of your mat. Bend into the left knee like you wanted to come into the left armpit. Step it forward, hands come down. Step forward, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise, come all the way up. When you come up, hook the thumbs. From here, arc up and over towards the left-hand side of the room. When you arc up and over, heavy into the left foot. Imagine you could scoop the right side of the rib cage up towards the sky. As you scoop the right side of the rib cage up towards the sky, imagine the left hip could draw forward towards the front of the room again. Good. Come back through center, hook the, switch the hook of the thumbs, reach up and over towards the left. Heavy into the right foot. Imagine it's the left side of the rib cage scooping up towards the sky as the right hip comes forward. Good. Come back through center, release the hands. Inhale, look up. Exhale, fold your way. Inhale, up half the way. Exhale, make your way downward facing dog. Again, move through what you'd like to move through. Don't lose the dimension, the volume of the body, the forward, the back, the top to bottom, the left to right. Nice. Good. And then from here, come forward, plank pose. In this plank pose, I'd like you to pause, find the surface area of your hands. Find left shoulder, right heel. Right shoulder, left heel. Notice the difference in the body now after practice versus the first arduous plank an hour ago. Slowly the knees down or not, come all the way down to your belly. When you come down to your belly, you're going to take your last belly down back bend of the practice. Belly down back bends could be upward facing dog. It could be cobra. It could be Shalambhasana. If you're feeling like you're open enough to grab onto the heels and kick into Dhanurasana, you do so. It can be really passive. It can be Sphinx. But this is going to be an entirely personal part of your practice where you decide where to go and you decide how long you're there.
And regardless of where you go, you can breathe fully, spherically, and you'll come down when you're ready. And maybe you can shut the eyes and you really turn inward. Back bends could be quite expressive, quite out there, almost extroverted in their posture. See if you can stay inward with the awareness, keeping the dimensions of the body. If you're coming down, you still keep the eyes closed. The dimensions of the body are the forefront of your mind. And when you come down to fully rest. You shake the hips side to side. You bring the arms alongside the body. Maybe one cheek lands if that's comfortable for you. And let the breath expand against the earth so that you feel the sides of the waist and the low back rising towards the sky. And from here, you're going to flip onto your back. And when you flip onto your back, you're going to draw the knees into the chest, give them a squeeze. And from here, you'll set yourself up for your final Shavasana, your final rest. Maybe legs are long, maybe you're in active rest, right where we started, knees touch, feet wide. Maybe you're propping up under the knees. If you're close to a couch or a chair, you can drape the backs of the thighs and the backs of the knees up so that you're in a more restorative place. Regardless of the positioning of the body, let it be appropriate for you today as you are right now. And sometimes it's not even laying down, right? Sometimes it's sitting in meditation. And in this position, allow the eyes to close. Feel for a softening of the eyes back in the skull, a softening of the musculature, of soft tissue, of even organs. And take 3 more long and slow controlled breaths. Imagine your next inhale drawing in energy from your external environment, and then the exhale, it just dissipates into the floor. If you want to continue that visualization, you can. If you'd like to let it drop and rest, you do so.
Bring your awareness back into your environment again. Noticing sounds and where you are in space, in this room, in this house, on this planet. And draw the awareness internal, noticing sensation, spaciousness, lack of, heaviness, lack of. And start to breathe deeper and longer and move in a way that feels nice for you right now. And if you'd like to stay down on your back, you may stay down on your back. If you'd like to come up to your seat, you can come up. That's the beauty of being in your house right now. And when you come to your seat, map the dimensions of your body, finding the volume of your pelvis, mapping the diagonals, and the length of the torso, left shoulder, right hip, right shoulder, left hip, pelvic floor to crown of the head. Bring the hands to touch in front of the heart. And now drop the gaze over the hands. If you're still on your back, you just bring your hands to your heart in a way that feels nice for you. For all of the ways this practice teaches us to be more compassionate, more kind, more aware of ourselves and others, of polarities in the center. Drop thumb knuckles to the third eye center, lift the head up. From me to you and all to each other. Namaste. Thanks, everyone. And we'll come unmute you to see if there's any questions, comments. Those of you who are joining the recording know that you can always email me. Thanks for playing.